Good afternoon. Okay, certainly an occasion that we've been looking forward to. A great opportunity for us. Our first division game against a really good offense, really good opponent, rivalry team. We're looking forward to the challenge. This offense has done a really, really good job of being efficient on early downs. They have, I think, the least amount of third and seven plus scenarios in the league. And so that speaks to what they've been able to do on first down as it pertains to the run, the play action passing game, and the ability to protect the quarterback and stay out of negative plays. So this offense starts with Jacobs, downhill, very, very tough physical runner. He looks quicker and faster this year as opposed to last year. Looks a lot more dynamic, breaks a lot of tackles. They do a nice job of opening holes for him. And his ability to be downhill really sets up, as I mentioned earlier, the play action attack with Jordan Love. And so, quick passing game, all those types of things. So, we have to do a really good job being efficient on first and second down and then lead with our strength on third down as far as what we've been able to do. Great opportunity for us. Looking forward to the challenge. Our guys are excited. We've had a couple of really good days of preparation. They're focused, and I'm looking forward to what we'll do. I'll take your questions.
When you talk about Jacobs looking different than last year, how does that show up to you and what do you account for?
Just the change of direction and the quickness. Very shifty. The burst is there. The confidence is there. And so I think the last couple of years, I think he was finding his way back, finding his footing. But now we're seeing the all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber player that we've seen from him previously. The confidence is there. He's very quick, hitting the holes downhill, physical. I mean, he's not looking to avoid anyone. So it's what we've seen previous to the injury that he incurred.
What was your take on Montez Sweat's inability to get back to the line of scrimmage on that spike play? It looked like he was hurt, but is there anything he can do to avoid the penalty in that situation?
Just the awareness piece has to be there. I mean, just understanding that situation, 2 minute, the way that typically functions, and we've got to hustle. We've got to hustle and make sure we're in position. And if there's a situation with injury, then we're down and we're down in that situation. But we've got to hustle to get back. We got to make sure we're keeping pace with that situation.
Did you let him know that, or that he should have handled it differently?
Yeah, we correct and coach every situation that we see on film.
You guys are preparing for Jordan Love, but how impressive was what the Packers were able to do running the football without him at the beginning of the season, and just their ability to go almost one-dimensional and have success with it?
Well, they've got two backs, two runners behind him that are almost identical. They're clones, if you will. Same type of traits and makeup, strong players, downhill runners. And so he's a bonus with what he can do. He's a Pro Bowl caliber player, but they've really stocked that position with runners who can replicate what they'd like to do with their rushing attack.
Eric, right before the half and the last 2 weeks, Arizona and then New England, you guys gave up a touchdown and field goal. Is there anything that needs to be done differently right before the end of the half to ensure that doesn't happen this week?
Absolutely. We just need to make sure that we rush the way that we're capable of and we execute our coverages to the degree that they're designed.
Eric, with Jayden Reed, what are some of the things that he does that stresses you guys on Sunday?
Who?
Reed.
I mean, just an unbelievable target, really good target, a really good catch radius. And the one thing about all of these skill players is their tenacity and ability to block at the point of attack and away from the point of attack. And so he's no different. We just have to do a really good job of getting off blocks and just making sure that we control their passing attack.
Is there a challenge in keeping your players on the defensive side focused and locked in with everything else that's gone on in the building in the last 72 hours?
No. And one of the things that I've been consistent in terms of describing the men that I work with is their character. And that doesn't just show up when everything is going well. It shows up in times when things aren't going exactly the way you need them to. And I've gotten to know that and I've really gotten to a point where I can appreciate that going all the way back to the point we first started working together.
Eric, I imagine that you start looking at the Packers in the offseason, going through some of last year's tape. Jordan Love just had a second half that was one of the best of football last year. Did you notice at the time, or when you went back to look, just kind of how he kept going up and in what ways?
Sure. They had some design. I mean, he presented the dual threat for them. I mean, and really good arm talent, could make a lot of throws. He was growing as far as his ability to read coverages and to deliver the football where it needed to go. Very quick release, but he also had that element of having to account for him as a rusher. And so that's tough to defend when the second rusher is a quarterback, and all of a sudden now that becomes an assignment issue or an assignment circumstance for our defense. So he's got a well-rounded ability to continue to move that offensive philosophy, and he's only going to get better.
Do you expect Montez to practice this afternoon?
Yes.
Eric, as an extension of Brad's previous question, obviously it's not under your umbrella, but you were in a situation last year in Buffalo where there was a midseason coordinator change on the other side of the ball. What did you observe about how that changed things for that group, their offense team as a whole, when you went through that last year?
Yeah, what I observed is that one of the things that I had to do as a coach on that staff in that situation is just make sure that I kept our players focused, our staff focused, and that we continue to reach for a higher performance, a higher level of performance and execution, and that's what we did then, and that's what we'll continue to do now.
Eric, with Matt having to deal with a pretty serious offensive issue in the last, this week, has your role increased at all in preparation for this game as opposed to any other?
My role is to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do, the things that are under my charge, as good as I possibly can do them, and even better, to find more from my performance, from my duties, my job, and the ability to execute those things.
When you study Matt LaFleur and just the Green Bay Packers offense, what makes them so effective to where they're able to go through the air with Jordan Love, or obviously be really effective on the ground?
Like I mentioned previously, the efficiency on first down, outstanding. And so they're skipping third down in some cases because they're so good on first down. They're going first down, second down, first down. And when they do get to a third down situation, they're situations that are manageable for an offense and kind of tough to defend as a defense.
Do you notice that kind of the 3-game losing streak and just inconsistencies has weighed on your team at all? And what would just putting together a great performance in a divisional game do for this group?
Yeah, there's no remedy or cure like winning and having the kind of performance that you're capable of that we've had previously this season. And that's the best remedy that you can have. And just to get back to work, to get back out there and just continue to grind and dig and to find strength in each other and to push each other, find strength in each other in our process, and to make everything to accentuate what we want to do.
How do you think you guys held up against the run without Billings last week? How do you hold up against the run without Billings, in your opinion?
Well, we've had one game without him, and so the fight and what Byron Cowart was able to do, I was really pleased with that. There's some areas that we can get better with, but as I mentioned previously, you don't replace Andrew, but certainly some of the things that stood out in last week's game, I was very encouraged with, and we just got to continue to work.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Doing outstanding. Thank you. Looking forward to another week of work, obviously, going against a team that's well coached in all three phases. So a lot of familiarity with this team, and then obviously familiarity with the coaching staff, worked with those guys, but both obviously the DC and the head coach at other stops, and work with many guys on their staff. So always been a rivalry, but also a little bit of a rivalry. So between coaches as well. So looking forward to that.
The early spark you got from Carter last week, what allowed that to spring the way it did?
Yeah, I think really for DeAndre Carter, it's been a blessing to our football team. It's a good question, Dan. I think that for him signing with us and reconnecting with him, I'm so happy for his career and what has transpired. But we were really happy with the 3-and-out that the defense had there, and then to go and get a 38-yard or 40-yard punt return to put us in plus territory to try to help our football team was outstanding. Just initially outside, the guys are really good outside, starting with Terrell Smith, They were going against Schooler, who is one of the best, if not arguably one of the best gunners in the National Football League. So that was a huge challenge for us. He was their leading tackler. But Smitty did a great job out there, obviously, with Tavarius Moore on that play. Blackwell did a great job on the backside on his one-on-one. Obviously, Jonathan Owens down the field blocked his guys, so a lot of strain for the guys that start outside. And then inside, really good job of guys coming off the football, driving the guys back, playing with proper technique, hand placement, hat placement, leverage, and Jack Sanborn obviously coming around the edge to seal it and lead with his hands. Instead of hitting the defender in the head or neck area, legally blocking the right way, making sure that we do a nice job, getting that capturing that edge for DeAndre. And what you won't see on that play is Hardy. All right, Hardy was in a chase mode and he stuck his foot in the ground. He and T. Moore both stuck their foot in the ground and they went what we call next level instead of blocking the guy in the back, because you can only do two things. You can either block a guy in the back or you can be in the way of the returner. Now he's got to dodge you and the guy that's covering. So those two guys, those two players, Hardy, and T. Moore, all right, did a great job of not committing penalties on that play and picking up extra yardage for our returner down the field, creating a convoy. But obviously a good play for us there.
What kind of challenges does Nixon present in the kicker?
Yeah, huge challenge, right? Huge challenge. And it never gets any easier. Like last week's challenge was Marcus Jones. Obviously, we wanted to eliminate him. Nixon is a two-time All-Pro, first-team All-Pro returner last year and this year. So, again, every year we play him, he's smooth, he's elusive, he's instinctive. He's going to bring the football out 9 deep. It doesn't matter wherever the ball is. He's going to bring it out regardless, and they're going to try to return it. And they try to use that as a strength. So we're looking forward to covering against him. And it's going to be a huge challenge for our cover unit.
Richard, what's that chess match like for you? Because you've faced Nixon a few times now, so you guys have a lot of tape, you have a lot of experience, but also, as you said, he's a dynamic guy. So what's that like when you're preparing for a guy that you have that familiarity with?
Yeah, it's a challenge and it's fun. It's a fun. The chess match is fun to go into, to look and see what ways we can get him stopped and what things we need to implement. New things we need to spice up in order to get the kid stopped, because he's a really good player, and it's going to be a challenge. But again, that's the fun part of it. I mean, that's the part we love, and we've enjoyed watching tape on him this week, and or looking forward to a tough matchup. We know it's going to be tough, but that's what we live for.
Richard, just curious, what was the wind like for the game last Sunday?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell how much it was consistent and how much it was kind of gusty.
Yeah, it was gusting quite a bit. I mean, it was changing from quarter to quarter. It was a nasty wind out there. But, that's one thing that I love about Soldier Field, and that's one thing that people at Chicago and our specialists and everybody have learned to embrace. You have to embrace it, You don't want to. I learned it from Phil Dawson a long time ago when I worked with him. He was like, you never want to try to beat the conditions. You have to try to play the conditions. And I thought that was, from a multi-year veteran, he's been in the league 18 plus years. To learn that young from him is just, you embrace those conditions and you keep working. It plays to your advantage at times, and then it can play to your disadvantage. So you just got to keep working.
Hester will be there and being honored at this Bears Packers game. How much significance do you take in that, and just knowing what he did for his Bears organization?
Yeah, I think, Nick, I've been on the table 2 feet for Devin, and I thought he should have been in the hall a long time ago, and I'm happy that he finally got in. We take great honor and pleasure in seeing him anytime he comes back. He's one of the greatest Chicago Bears to ever play here, and it's someone we show in the meeting room from time to time to inspire these guys. So they can learn a lot from Devin in his journey.
Troy Taylor had a low net. Was that just a tough day for him, or he's been pretty good all year?
Yeah. So you're talking about Torrey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing you can do is you can look at numbers and you can look at net, or you can look at the outcome of the football game. So the outcome of the football game, and he did have a low net. Obviously, he didn't start the game the way he wanted to start the game, but finished the game really well. 3 plus 50 punts, 162-yard punt backed up out his own end zone. So what I like about the way that game transpired for Torrey is the resolve and the resilience in his eyes. So obviously he didn't start the way he wanted to start. So his nets affected. But the primary goal in that game was to not let Marcus Jones wreck the game. And he did not. So we wanted to take him out of the game and make sure he didn't wreck the game. But Torrey on the sideline, to give you a peek behind the curtain of what he's like, he never flinched. He didn't blink. And I've been on sidelines before when you have a specialist or a player and you see fear in their eyes, that's the worst thing you can have as a coach. But I saw a competitive fire for him to continue to keep going and get it right. And he wants to start the game better. I want him to start the game better, but I was really happy how he finished. And I've challenged him on that to start the game better. I challenged him personally. I challenged him in front of the group. And some people don't think that you should challenge specialists and you should handle them with kid gloves. I don't operate that way. So you know what he did? He responded. And I'm looking forward to him responding again.
That first one was such an odd one. Was that why that was so short? Was he trying to avoid a game record? Was he trying, was that because of that? Or?
Yeah, I actually thought he hit a good ball, and he did too. And then that's why he didn't blink. It got caught up in the wind, and obviously it wasn't the outcome that we wanted. And he has more, his standard for himself is way higher than anybody's standard for him, even mine. And when you have that type of player, you have a rare person that can respond. For a rookie to respond that way he did and finish the game with 3 punts like he did over plus 50, I seen Soldier Field crack and break people. And it didn't. So I'm encouraged by that kid. Good. You got one more?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. You mentioned like 6 or 7 guys on that return. Return.
Usually when you have a big return, there's a lot of guys doing their job.
I'm curious, who got the most points on your chart for that? Like,
For that,
those things. So what was the one that got?
who got the most points? I would say, I think we had a tie. I had to go back and look at it, to be honest with you, Mark. I don't know who got the most. They all get a big play because they were on the field for a big play, which is 5 points. D. Carter gets a great game-breaking return because it's anything over 20 plus is an explosive, but that was a 40, like damn near 40 yards. So they all get, because they all were in on a big play, they all get a big play, and then they all get a block as well, which counts for points too. But I'd have to go back and really look at that because I've really moved on to Green Bay, honestly. Yeah, but that's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks, Richard.
good, thanks.